like those guys that weren't stupid. Like played honest, fought like everyone respected them. You didn't fuck around with them, but they didn't go around slashing guys like stupid. Like they're fair.
What happened? What's your draft story leading up to when you got picked?
I knew I was going. I just didn't know where, and then so I was just happy to get it over with. It's a long lead up to the draft, and it's a long season too, wondering where you're going to go or how it's going to end up.
A good friend of mine is Bissonnette, Obviously, he's everywhere right now. I just want to know a little bit about him. You had him, Whitney, Yandel, Doan. Like, what a locker room.
They just shoot the shit, and it's like sitting in the locker room again. So it's fun to listen to them, and I think that's why they're so popular. They're just being themselves, and they're cool dudes when they played, and they're cool dudes now.
Booyah, and it's time for the Game Sports Show. It is your host, David McCaig Jr., bringing you yet another special edition upload powered by the Game Entertainment Media and presented by the Game Sports Show. Thanks for tuning in. Wherever you're listening, make sure you're subscribed, following, and liking the video or audio versions of our content from the TGEM YouTube channel to wherever you get your podcasts, such as Apple, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and much more. Now, getting to your co-host, joining yours truly for tonight's upload, former professional hockey player of over 1,000 games. You know him by now. He's a hockey analyst for TGEM and the Game Sports Show. Brendan Brooks. Brooksy, how's it going, pal?
It's going real good. It's nice to be back. Got a great guest, old teammate. So really looking forward to the show today.
Definitely. Every show is great, but this one's great in terms of you two being ex-teammates. That I just actually learned that before we recorded, so that makes it even more spicier. Now, getting to the sport displays and flawless roofing special edition guest.
Actually, hold that thought. Are you looking for a way to show off that memorable sports item, preferably a jersey? Just like how I like to show off my John Tavares Toronto Maple Leaf jersey? Well, look no further than the Sport Displays jersey mount. It's easy to put up and it's easy to take down, and it looks nice on your wall. Perfect for your office, perfect for your cave, perfect for your garage, perfect anywhere. Plus, they offer great fundraising opportunities for your sports teams. You can check them out on their website, thesportdisplays.com.
Getting to the sport displays and flawless roofing special edition guest, a Canadian professional hockey player who was drafted in the 4th round, 127th overall by the St. Louis Blues in the 2003 NHL draft. He played 4 years in the QMJHL, and this guest also played for the U18s for Canada and won a gold medal. He has played in 701 professional games between the East Coast, the American Hockey League, the NHL, the KHL, the DEL, the EIHL, and LNAH. Out of these games, he's played 65 games that were in the National Hockey League for the Vancouver Canucks and the Arizona Coyotes, with 3 playoff games with those Canucks. Now, this guest was defined as a forward who was aggressive style and had good two-way skills. He has been a captain in the American Hockey League. He's been an alternate captain in Europe. And in 2020, our guest decided to call it a career. Now, currently, as per our guest's social media pages, he is the owner of Athletik Club and was born and raised in Montreal. Now, without further ado, let's bring him in and welcome him to the show. Alex Bolduc. Alex, how's it going, my friend?
Hey guys, good yourself.
Doing great. Very happy to have you on. And as Brooksy said, it's great to have people come on here, tell their stories about the game and just to shoot the shit back and forth. And especially when someone's an ex-teammate of this guy. Yeah, I'm sure there's some stuff you guys can get into.
That's going back a lot of years. That's going to go back a lot of years.
If I can remember anything.
Now, I want to get into first, right off the hop, I want to talk about your business. Okay. I love when we love, I should say, is when we have guests on that are just doing their own side after hockey now, doing something a part of the game. If it's mental health advocation, if it's TED Talks, if it's running training businesses, if it's coaching, scouting, whatever it may be. And I did creep your Instagram page for your business, as well as obviously seeing what you do, obviously doing Athletic and Ace Athletic. I want you to get into it and let our listeners know, what is that? How did that start?
Man, I was still playing. It started in 2014. So me and my buddies here is me, Corey Crawford, Mark Herchabees, and Greg Moore. So all childhood buddies, grew up together, and like our town was pretty small. It was Chateauguay, Quebec, south side of Montreal. And so we were training in this like big cookie cutter gym. And honestly, by the time Corey and I started getting drafted to junior and then the NHL, we were spending half our time explaining to people why we weren't in the NHL yet, or like explaining what went wrong last season, or what would go right next season. So I felt these 3-hour workouts, you know, were really training for 30, 40 minutes. And after years of doing this, I kind of talked to him, and I was like, dude, I gotta figure something else out. And so then I started looking around, found a building that was abandoned, and long story short, Ace Athletic was born. So opened in 2014, and yeah, I've been running it. You know, I had partners running it while I was playing, and then now I'm you know, head and shoulders in there.
So what drove your passion to do this? Obviously, you know, it's got a spark, and you were definitely doing training when you were playing. And speaking of training, I'm sure we'll get into this, but training has evolved, especially for the game of hockey and all sports, right? It's completely different, I'm sure, since when I was doing training or when you and Brooksy were doing training at the levels you guys were at. But what sparked your passion overall to get this going in 2014?
Yeah, it was just I felt my town being wasn't competing with the other towns around us. I felt like so. I thought so. Originally, my plan was to make a gym just for athletes. So after maybe a year of that, you know, we quickly realized that it wasn't going to be financially like viable to keep going that way. So then we opened up our doors to everyone and became an average gym for the average Joe. So just more geared towards athletes, but now kind of catered to everyone. So the mantra's always been athletes, but you know, now it's like open, and you know, we cater to all levels now, and it's pretty cool. And yeah, we're making it pretty fitness for everyone, and it's an awesome thing going.
See, Brooksy, before I go over to you to chime into this topic a little bit, I want to touch on the point that I just said before I forget. The training today in comparison to what it was. So obviously, when you were playing the game, you trained away. I remember there being a lot of deadlifts, a lot of bench pressing a certain amount, a lot of power, right? In hockey, if you look at every hockey player, I'll be honest, thick legs, thick ass, right? That is the hockey player lower body is we are built for power from lower working our way up. And despite how you are built up here, that can actually determine how you are as a player. If you're a playmaker, power forward, how tall you are, etc. But the training used to be so much of that power and running. Like I remember running there's a local high school here called White Pine, just to run the track, and you have to do it within a certain time, within 5 laps. Now I'm hearing from friends that are in the National Hockey League, such as Colin Miller, and those guys saying swimming, you know, rest in the summer now is even more, some Pilates, yoga, strengthening, and more so less than bulking. It's more that strength and maintaining. So obviously I want to discuss what your approach is with working with levels of athletes at different tiers, and how you think the game has changed from what it was to what it is today in terms of how you're supposed to prepare for a season or during the season.
Is that for Brooksy or for me? You're talking to me, yeah?
Talking to you, yeah, that's for you.
Yeah.
I butted in front of Brooksy on this point.
Yeah, you know what? It's funny you say that because, man, as you were talking, I was like, it made me think of Russia, where maybe the training methods of maybe when I was playing, but when I was in Russia, they were back like 30 years ago, you know, like those like 10-hour days, like 3 a days. It was like, you know, all the horror stories of Russia were so true. And then the coach I had there was like so old school, and it was awful. And like, I think I ended up in one of the worst spots with that coach. Like that training camp was one of the toughest things I ever had to do in my life. And it was mid-July while all my boys are here, like having a great time. Like, and then I just remember I was like, what? It was July 1st, and I think I was in Russia, and I was like, what is going on, man? And so anyways, back to the training question. Yeah, I think I'm way more geared towards now training athletes with not as heavy loads, like not a lot of deadlifts. I truly believe, and this was Manny Malhochuk I learned a lot from him when I was playing with him in Vancouver. He never touched weights. He did so much like stretching and a lot of groin stuff. And he was telling me like towards the end of his career, he never lifted weights at all. And he was one of the best in shape by a mile at camp. And the Sedins, I don't think lifted that heavy too. Like there's a lot of guys that were maybe a bit advanced at the time and that weren't touching a lot of weights. I just think you're putting a lot of stress on your body. I'm not saying like heavy squats are bad, but it's a lot of stress on the back. And so I think those guys were just ahead of the game a bit. And I'm a big believer in functionality and hip mobility now and teaching that. And I'm like, my hip movement and my hip mobility stuff right now is way better than when I was playing. So it's just something I focus on now a little bit more and try and teach it to especially the young kids. The old guys are pretty set in their ways, but the young kids, I teach it a lot more now and stuff like that. Yeah.
What a difference it would be, for, like you and I training that other way to how it is now. Like, I feel like it would be so different. Like, you're a big guy and you could skate too. And I can only imagine how much better you would be doing that if we were able to, do what we've learned now, the way that training is. It's so like, like you said with Russia, like how crazy that is. It makes playing hockey miserable.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, it was awful. Yeah. I mean, the paycheck was one thing, but after that was like, all right, I don't know how long I could do this for.
See, we've heard a lot of stories, and I know we're going to get into Russia towards the end. I told Brooksy he can have that topic, but it's the overall training. I feel like swimming was one that really makes me think now, because in the waters, like, why would swimming help, right? But when you think back, it's like, okay, you're going end to end cardio. You're not using weights that are going to be strenuous on your body.
That's a big one. Yeah.
It's muscle that you're working the muscles the appropriate way. Running in sprints, hard on the knees, right? It's hard on the knees. Why not do some more long distance jogging, or maybe some more plyometric stuff like that? It's just the evolution, even as Brooksy just said, it's so amazing how it's changed. And it'd be interesting to see how guys like yourself and Brooksy, or even some of the guys that are retired that we know, Brooksy, how it would change their game. And even some guys that are playing now that are older. You said it just a few moments ago, Alex, that some of the senior guys, and I don't mean old guys like 60s, the guys that are in their mid 30s are still playing. They're set on their ways, right? Whatever worked then, there's kind of stuff doing now. Guys like I use as an example, like Colin Miller, for example, there's a guy who's closer to my age, 30, 31, and he's able to transition to that new kind of adapt because he's not too late in his career. Is that what you say?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, like it's so funny. I played till I was 40, which is crazy. But my last 5 years of training, I was swimming in the summers like crazy. And what a difference. I felt like I was in better shape conditioning wise. My breathing, it was just such a different, outlook, where I was like, man, I wish I did this years and years before.
Were you a good swimmer before though, or did you just get into it? Like, I'm not a good swimmer. I don't think I could go swim for longer than 3 minutes. Like, I don't see myself doing that.
You know what? I grew up swimming, you know what I mean? Just, I grew up with a pool and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So, that definitely helped me. And, but what I'm saying is, like, say you have that struggle and you can't swim for 3, but then if you continue to do it, you're going to be doing it for 10, 15. That's the whole thing.
Yeah.
Eventually, as long as you know how to, swim and you can.
I guess you can learn. Yeah. But there's like a nice technique I find you have to learn there to get that long distance,
Yeah. So now, just a few more points about ACE before we get into the second topic. Do you have any packages that you can kind of promote about ACE to our listeners, or how people can search it, stuff that you offer? Do you offer virtual options for workouts, stuff like that?
Yeah, you know what? We got a good Christmas deal. Anyone that's in the Montreal area. But Ace Athletic, aceathleticgym.com. Check out the website, and you can book everything through that now. We have we're super online friendly. Boot camps are really good, a strength of ours, and everything from the most beginner trained to we got deadlift platforms to the most expert weightlifters. We got a nice range in there, and we got a good family community that we're really trying to push. So come on out.
Definitely check that out on social.
Thanks, guys.
I want to make sure I give you that first point.
Thanks. Yeah, I appreciate it, man.
Definitely.
Well, now we can, now we can get into, why you're here, like talking about your hockey days and where it all began. You had a really good junior career. You had, you spent 4 years, you had great numbers. You were in Rowan-Noranda Huskies, I think.
Yeah.
And then you joined the Shawinigan Cataracts. So for the last half of your last year, you won a gold medal as well for the under 18s. Just talk a little bit about that experience there in junior.
Yeah, well, you know what? 16, 17, 18 was all really fun in Rowan-Noranda. I got that gold medal at 17. But 19-year-old, that year I got traded, was a kind of a shitty year for me. Not getting along with that coach there, Andre Tourigny. I did not get along well with him. The only real coach in my career that I didn't get along well. with, and got traded at Christmas that year. And to it, like my team was contending, you know, it was not a good trade. It wasn't like a happy, it was an insult trade. Like they didn't believe in me. They thought I was awful. They're trying to get rid of me to a contender, to a division. Like, you know, so there's no more slap in the face when your team just says like, here, man, we're going to give you to a division rival. So I was happy, you know, I was a learning curve in my career and everything. I'm happy I went through it, but I don't know. I mixed it, you know, like mixed feelings on the junior days, because that's kind of how it ended for me. So, you know, 16 drafting the first round of junior was amazing. That was a family thing, you know, that, you know, I got to share. It was in Montreal, went 7th overall. Man, we ended up getting to the draft. They're already at the 4th pick. So I'm really happy I never went earlier than that. And then like my family was there, and that was an awesome. So 16, 17, 18 was great. You know, a lot of memories in Rwanda, and then a shitty little end to it, but a good learning thing, all in all in junior.
Yeah, it's so crazy, you know, when you have a coach that you just, you know, I mean, obviously we played a long time, you and I, and you have coaches that love you, and then you got some that just don't. They ride you, and you can't figure it out. You have a great year, and then all of a sudden, you know what I mean, you're not getting any ice time, and you just can't figure it out. And you know, it's just crazy. So my question is, you know, when you're in junior, you know, was there anyone that really influenced you to help you get to that next level, that really like changed your game, to really, you know, set you apart to, you know, make that move to the next levels?
Well, man, yeah, I guess it's weird, but if I had to choose, it'd probably be that coach, because he came on then halfway through my 17-year-old year, and I was playing the point on the power play before he got there. I was like running a lot of shit, and I was really, really offensive, more offensive than defensive. So he got there, and without really even seeing me play, said, "You're way too young to be manning the power play. You're off the power play. We're going to make you into a penalty killer." So I guess in this weird twisted way, as much as I hated him, because I was like, who wants to get taken off the power play and made into a defensive forward? Not me. Like, that's not cool, man. Like, you know, everyone wants to score. Everyone wants to be on the power play. So that's how it started. And then never really smoothed out after that. But I guess that transitioned into having to learn the PK and learning to play against Crosby and all that. I guess he trusts me more playing against like the top end guys than playing power play. So
see, the outlook is, I know the outlook is when you have that speed a little bit, you're that two-way forward. You can think of guys that Brooksy and I know, even from the Sioux. Tyler Kennedy is a good example of one. A guy that really just would work. That's a penalty kill guy. And in junior, he scored a lot of goals. He may not like me saying that right now, but he can message me and chirp me if he wants. He was a third line penalty kill type guy. And those are the type of guys that win you championships, though. So there's always a plus side of looking at someone who does play a role in that. But when you're a guy that likes to snipe, right, to have that adjustment, even if it's from junior to another team in junior or junior to the pros, it's a difficult adjustment and a whole change.
Yeah, I'm happy I went through it and everything, but it's crazy. As soon as you get pro, even like the 4th line, 5th line guy had like 100 goals in juniors. It felt like, you know, like everyone had points, and even tough guys. You know, I was like, well, this guy had 40 goals. He has 200 PIMs in the A. This guy had 40 goals in junior, and it's like everyone could score. So you just have to find ways to separate yourselves, I guess. Yeah.
Brooksy, you're always a sniper, though, eh? I don't think that's changed for you.
Well, you know what? I could score. You know what? I could score, but you know what I wish? You know what I mean? Like Alex had said, like finding that niche, because I think in the time that we grew up, unless you were a superstar, you were so interchangeable. So, you know what I mean? You had to find, you know, like you said, you were a hell of a penalty killer. Because I remember when we played together that, you know what I mean, you were penalty killing. You were like one of our top guys. So, you know what I mean? It just goes to show you, you know, sometimes you got to find that niche, you know. And, you know, I never got to that point of really, truly finding, you know, my niche, because I was so fast. I could
too much skill. That's what happens. You have too much skill. I bet that's
not the skill level, but not the skill level that is needed for that superstardom at that level. Do you know what I mean? Like at the NHL level, it's just so wild. Like I wish I worked on my defense a little bit more, and I did penalty kill, But like, you know what I mean? For me, it was just like 5-on-5 hockey was my best for me.
But it's funny though, because you almost get penciled into, if you score too much early on, then you'll never be even looked at as a guy that like could switch. I remember Jaffrey in Manitoba would score almost too much. He could play the fourth line. He was he grinded. He was good. But they would almost call me up if fourth line guy went before him, because he was like leading our team in scoring. He was like more known as a scorer. And I remember him like being like, what the fuck, like getting upset that I was getting called up, rightfully so. I didn't complain, but he could play, but he was almost just known as a scorer now. So they didn't call him up if a fourth line guy went down. He was like
you get pigeonholed for sure.
Exactly.
You get pigeonholed as this thing, and then you know what I mean, they don't realize, you know what I mean? All right, well, he's that, he's this, whatever.
Or they just want a cookie cutter who got hurt, or what they're replacing. So
a lot of that happened, and I'm going to use an example for a guy that plays now. It was like Mason Marchment or Carter Verhaeghe. Like Carter Verhaeghe plays on Florida, who came from Toronto, went to Tampa. He lit up the American Hockey League. Then he goes to Tampa. He gets a chance. He was that guy scoring the American Hockey League, but they called him up, gave him a chance on the bottom line. He was PKing, but then I can't remember if it was a shorthanded goal or he made a good play, and then he got a chance on the top line. So that's a good point where you guys are saying that sometimes those guys that get those points just get a chance, get called up, get in the lineup. Mason Marchment's a guy, though, that's a two-way, hard-nosed type guy. So that's a different player. But those are guys I use as an example when I think of this, because you got the chance to get called up after being lights out in the American Hockey League, scoring goals. They needed you, like, all right, fine, we'll call up this guy because he gets 100 points in American Hockey League. Maybe he'll do something, and he did, right? It's just giving that opportunity to players when it's deserved. But that worked out for you too, because you were able to transition your game, and you mastered that craft to be able to be that expert two-way guy, aggressive guy that was able to kill penalties. And that's a skill. That is a definite skill. And people nowadays look at speed, they think of somebody who can be offensive, but also think of somebody who can kill penalties, right? Because you get side to side, you can really chase down the puck, put pressure on the D or whatever it is.
Brooksy, remember Mike Brown? Was Mike Brown there when you were there?
Oh yeah, he was. Oh yeah,
he was like, remember he led the league in shorthanded goals that year? Oh man,
yeah.
He scored more in shorthanded than he scored regular.
Like, oh yeah, he was a real good example there for sure. Because he, you know what, I remember watching him, and everything he did was 100%. Even in practice, I remember like he was always hitting guys so hard in practice, and
he's a good guy that we're talking about transition. He turned into a tough guy. Like he did what he had to do to stay up top. Like he's a college guy. It's not like he fought his way through junior, So he learned to fight when he's turned pro, and he made a good career out of it.
Toronto, San Jose.
He fought some heavies too.
Yeah, he did. He was a part of that transition in Toronto that had all those tough guys. The Colt.
Yeah, McLaren.
Yeah,
those guys, man. That was a tough team.
Oh, very tough team.
Rosehill. Fuck.
Jay Rosehill, former guest on the show too. There's someone who's talked about some fights. Toronto had some.
He was a legit good fighter too. That guy, that Rosehill. Respect guy though too. Didn't play that dirty. Like I like those guys that weren't stupid. Like played honest, fought like everyone respected them. You didn't fuck around with them, but they didn't go around slashing guys like stupid. Like they're fair.
Yeah, they were. That's what actually Pierre-Luc Leblanc used as a reference, where there's guys at a certain point in the game, they're trying to fight to stay up, and you're up 3-1 or you're up 4-1 the final minute. No, you don't just waste your time. But then there's guys that say, okay, it's 3-3. Let's set the tone. Let's try to differentiate the momentum a little bit. Or if it's the people know when they are enforcers or the guys the right time to fight. But there's guys that used to just pick it off for no reason. And I hear mixed references about Tom Wilson all the time, and I really feel like that's a guy that Ryan Reeves is probably a guy that if he played with the McLarens, and he did because he's not that young, but when you think of Wilson and Reeves being the tougher guys in the league, and you look back to the Brashears, the McSorleys, the Colt Nors, I think Reeves actually fought Colt Nor, but it felt like it's a lot tougher then than it is now, is kind of what I'm leaning towards.
Yeah. Reeves is dying breed, that's for sure.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, 100%. Well, Tom Wilson, if we're going to talk about Tom Wilson, I'd take that guy on every single team I had.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I was going to say that before. I love dirty sometimes, but man, I would take that guy on my team 1,000%.
Yeah, especially with nowadays game. Now, there's a segment that we do on our show now that really caught on. It's called the draft stories.
Hold that thought. You need to protect your investment from the start and at the top. And you can do this with Flawless Roofing SureSeal Incorporated. Flawless Roofing is based in Thunder Bay, Ontario, Canada, and Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, Canada. Flawless Roofing is Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario's only certified EPDM roofers. Flawless Roofing has been in operation since 2012 and offers over 30 years experience in the business. Flawless Roofing offers solutions for both residential and commercial rooftops. You can check them out today at flawlessroofing.ca or give them a check out on Facebook.
Now, there's a segment that we do on our show now that really caught on. It's called the draft story. So now the segment caught attention because of some certain stories that were shared. And now, despite if someone's drafted or undrafted, we like to hear the story on how they made it to that next level if it's American Hockey League, if it's in Europe or in the National Hockey League. Now, you were drafted. You were drafted in the 4th round. You were drafted by the St. Louis Blues. Now, you didn't ultimately play for St. Louis. You became a free agent. You signed the East Coast and worked your way up. But sticking to the draft story, did you know it was going to be St. Louis? Were you at the draft? What happened? What's your draft story leading up to when you got picked?
Yeah, it was in Nashville. My whole family there. I was there. Yeah. Was kind of I didn't know. I was expected, I think, to go between the 2nd and the 4th round. So I remember being there the first day, and then it's a long day because you don't get drafted, but you don't know, so you're hoping, but you're not expecting it. So it didn't happen that first day. Luckily, it happened on the 2nd. To St. Louis, no, didn't expect them to draft me. I didn't really have any idea. So yeah, that was pretty cool, man. Man, my dad was around that. Everything was, yeah. So.
Did you have any meetings with teams prior, or any calls or any phone calls? Were you surprised?
Yeah, no, not surprised. I was during that whole year. I did the top prospects game. I was ranked pretty high early on. So I can't say I was expecting it. You never know, but I was did the top prospect, did the fitness testing, that only the top 40 go or something, or I forget how many, but I knew I was going, I just didn't know where. And then, so I was just happy to get it over with. It's a long lead up to the draft, and it's a long season too, wondering where you're going to go or how it's going to end up. So I was happy to get it over with, and, get to the first camp was exciting. Yeah.
Well, I bet. And that's probably an honor. You get that call. It's like, shit, everything that I worked for, I got drafted, but now the real work starts, right? When you get drafted. Now, do you make that team, or what happens? And you ended up going the other route where you ended up getting that, you signed as a free agent in the East Coast and worked your way up. And I respect that so much with somebody that, gets drafted and they aren't successful making the team they're drafted to.
That was a bummer though, for real. Like,
I bet.
Being polite about it. Yeah. You're being polite. I like you, but you could say like, no, I had a shitty 19-year-old year. I didn't really deserve to sign. But it was disappointing. Like, more, I felt like to my family, or like mostly to my dad. I felt like I let them down. You're a 4th rounder, technically I find you should sign. So it was a bummer not to sign. And then it was, all right, what now? So somehow ended up in Bakersfield. Like, I don't even know. And it was like, all right, one last kick at the bucket, like, cool, make $350 a week in playing in California. Go try it out, and then ride out the pro hockey dream as long as I can. I don't care where I play. I was like, for sure, telling my boys we're going to Cali. Like, it sounded all right. So that's how it started, Bakersfield, California. Yeah,
that's awesome. You worked your way up from there. Now I'll get into the NHL. That's a good transition. So you played 65 games between the Canucks and the Coyotes, and it started in 08-09. And lots of good players played for the Canucks and also for the Coyotes. There's so many names that we can mention. Okay, now I'll probably mention some names shortly, but your first call up to the show, you get the call. What was that call? How were you?
Yeah. I haven't told this story in a while, I remember we were in Winnipeg, and we were at the fitness center. It wasn't at the arena. So we were at like a little workout area or gym, like a big fitness center or whatever. And my coach, Scotty Arneal, calls me like aside, and I go, "What's up?" He goes, "Hey, you're growing up." And I go, cool. Like, thanks. I appreciate you saying I'm growing up. I thought that's what he said. Like, I'm maturing. So I go, okay. Like, weird that you're calling me over, telling me I'm growing up. No, he goes, you're going up. I go, oh, fuck, like up? He goes, yeah, you got like 30 minutes to get your shit and get to the airport. I think he said it nicer than that, but so that's the way I took it. So I tear home. I remember packing whatever, racing to the airport. I think I put my car in short term. And then, on the flight playing Calgary the next night. Yeah.
See, that's so cool. And you put that jersey on. Okay, you play your first shift. Did you have to do the solo lap? Did they make you do a solo lap?
No, I don't think they did.
They didn't make you do a solo lap?
Or unless I blocked it on my memory, but I don't think I did.
So the first assist.
They got me even when I played in Montreal, though. They got me for that, like when I played. That was like my 5th game.
Oh, okay.
It was in Montreal, but that's what I remember them getting me. Yeah.
Because that's your hometown. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Now, your first assist. Can you recall that?
There's only like 2, right? 3?
No, I was gonna say if it was a primary assist, like you made a behind the back pass.
What was it? No, I know it wasn't. I think it was on a cycle with Joffrey, and I think he threw it out front to Hordachuk. Yeah, I think it was like a simple cycle. Yeah, I think so.
Good old cycle.
I remember my first shift, or my first or second shift in my first game, I got a +1. I remember that. But then my 3rd or 4th shift after that, I got a -1. So I ended up even. So I remember those.
Hey, that's a win, eh? In game 1. Even. Coming out even to win.
Oh, +- was just nuts. But now playing with, it still is the stats. I shouldn't say it was nuts.
Yeah.
Playing with the Sedins, Kessler, Bieksa. I think Brooksy knows Bieksa pretty good. Heck, even Leafs legend Matt Sundin. Okay, yeah. I grew up a Toronto fan. I know you're from Montreal, so I know that some Montreal listeners might tune into the show, might want to mute me after. But obviously, being a Leaf fan growing up, Sundin, Roberto Luongo wasn't that when you were there. Now he's going to be a GM in the NHL one day. That guy, I'm going to say. But you had a lot of big names play there. You must have some stories with those guys.
I always forget this, but I was there when they named him captain. Remember that?
That's right. They did name him.
Remember that?
Yeah, I do. He wore the C on his chin.
Yeah, I think it was only my 3rd or 4th day there, and they called everyone to the dressing room, and I think they announced and we're going to name Roberto. And I thought it was like, I look around, I'm like, is this a joke right now? Is this for real? Did they just name him the goalie captain? I didn't, because everything's so new and you don't know. Yeah, I was there when they named him captain. It was nuts.
Was everyone shocked? Like for real?
I don't know. I can. For me, I was. No one's ever named a goalie captain. Like what?
That's so unreal. Brooks, you never seen it?
Well, it's unheard of. Yeah. I've never seen it.
Weird.
I actually forgot about that. Actually,
I know. I always forget that. That's like my 2nd or 3rd time I mentioned that.
Yeah, that's cool that you were there to remember that though too.
Right? Yeah, it's random.
That is so cool. Now, going to the Coyotes before I go over to Brooksy, the 2011 you left Vancouver, you signed in Arizona, Phoenix at the time. Now it's called Arizona. I'll just make sure I keep calling it Arizona. You signed a 1-year 2-way deal. So what influenced you to go over to Arizona? What was that spark? Was it the hot weather in the desert?
No, yeah, kind of. No, for me it was the best, I thought, opportunity to make it full time. I was tired of the up and down, and I went from I played in the finals that year before, we finished first, though, like we were top team in the whole season. We won the trophy, President's Trophy.
Yeah.
So I wanted to play on a team that wasn't so good, no offense. Sounds bad.
That's funny.
But I wanted a better chance to make it, and I thought Arizona. Then they seemed interested, and it sounded like a good opportunity. But I wanted a chance, like, to play full time.
Yeah, more chance to play.
Yeah, and exactly. When you're going to a team like that, it gives you a real good opportunity, and I think it was a good move, and
starting fresh too,
worked out. Yes, but I want to talk about, obviously I got a guy I know is a good friend of mine, is Paul Bissonnette. Obviously he's everywhere right now. He's, doing everything. What's your experience with him I knew him from growing up, from when he was a young guy. I just want to know a little bit about him. You had him, Whitney, Yandel, Doan. Like, what a locker room! Some great guys and some great personalities.
Yeah, what's fun, and I think those guys are what make them so good now is they're just being themselves. Like Whitney, and even when Yandel's on there, and Biz, like, Biz is a character always. Like, he's just is, man. He's super social. Like, I wish I was that impressive. Like, when he goes out, he's like, the mayor. So it was cool hanging out with him a little bit in Arizona and seeing, like, how popular he is. And a lot of people would not even ask about Doan or Verbata. Like, when I got back, it'd be, how's Biz? Like, he's so popular. And I don't watch their show a ton, but the times I do watch Vin Chicklets, it's cool, man. Like, they just shoot the shit. And it's like sitting in the locker room again. So it's fun to listen to them. And I think that's why they're so popular, just being themselves. And they're cool dudes when they played, and they're cool dudes now.
Did you think he was going to be I guess you wouldn't think he would be this way, but did he have this? Did he come across, I guess what I'd say, as having the social ability of being someone like a podcaster? Like, was that known rate with being in the locker room with him? I guess Brooksy would know the answer too, but was that something that you realized, Alex, with playing on his team?
Yeah, no, for sure. I think he was I think he was smart enough to foresee himself. I think he was interjecting himself, like, as he was still playing a little bit, or still in the like doing some broadcasts and stuff. He's smart, and what he's doing now is amazing. And I think I don't know if he could have predicted how big he is now, but, like, I think he had it planned, and I think he was excited for his after the game plans, and he's killing it.
Yes. Now,
well, it's so funny because we used to have, before you go on there, Dave, we used to have these summer skates and stuff, and Bissonnette's quite a few years younger than me, we'll say, to be respectful to my own age. But I remember when he'd come in the room, and we would always be like, who the fuck is this guy? Because he would come in as this young kid and say whatever was on his mind. He would chirp guys, he'd chirp older guys, younger guys, it didn't matter. So when I saw all this stuff starting, and then when he was chirping himself with all the shirts that he was making, I was just like, oh my God, like, it's just like, you could just see it skyrocket, because no one ever really got mad at him. Everyone always said, who the fuck is this guy?
Yeah, he got a lot of passes for sure. But he was on my under-18 team too when we won gold. He was on that team. So he was like a pretty high-end guy. I think he's second rounder, I think. No, fourth rounder. But he was like a pretty big deal, like, coming up too.
I didn't know. I forgot that he won a gold medal with the under.
Yeah, he was on my team that year.
That's so true.
Yeah.
Well, it's so funny. A lot of people don't know he's actually not a bad player. Like, you know what I mean?
Well, because he was a D back then.
Yeah, he was. He definitely was.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny. Look at learning things as we go here. That's hilarious. Now, Arizona, I'm gonna flat out say, and I know we have listeners that probably I say probably rudely, but like Arizona, they're playing in a college arena this season. The time we're recording, they're in the Mullet Arena, whatever you want to call it, the Mullet Forum. I like calling it as a joke. I think that's more catchy. You played there, and when you were there, this was a team that was technically a playoff potential type team, because you had Mike Smith in that, you had Doan.
Yeah.
They weren't like a slam dunk, first seed Boston Bruins at the time, or even Vancouver, stuff like that. But you played in there when they had some winnings. They talk about the fan base is what I'm getting to. Okay.
Sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, the fan base. I just want to know, because it's the worst fan base in hockey. It has to be, in terms of loyalty. They're in a college arena now. Now they get more. It seems like they get more people, but when they were playing their previous arena last year, getting 2,000, 3,000 a night, here with the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds, we get more people than the Coyotes do. And Bettman's just investing all of his time into saving Arizona so bad, right? Like, you played there. You can talk about it.
Well, yeah, you know what? To me, it was still the NHL, though. Like, like playing in that arena, it was a beautiful arena. I think the organization was solid to me, but, like, I'm not going to complain about. I mean, I was there, 12,000 fans, 25,000. I didn't care. I loved it there. The fans that were there were super dedicated. I don't know. I heard good things about them playing in Mullet Arena, whatever. I haven't talked to any of the guys that have done it or how it is for real, but it seems like they're enjoying it, or, so I don't know. I like my time. It was And when I was there, sorry, that's why I was cut you off before, was we made it to the third round that year.
Yeah.
So that was like, I wasn't playing, but I was like always right on the edge of being in there. So I was traveling with the team, and so I was always it was a pretty cool experience. And man, Mike Smith was unbelievable that year, and it got pretty intense all the way to this against LA. We lost there in the conference finals there.
The whiteouts. They had the whiteouts.
Yeah, it was cool.
They actually sold out a lot of games. People remember that, but they sold out every game in that playoff season.
Yeah. So it was cool. I saw that was a really cool run. Unexpected. We beat Chicago that year. So yeah, it was a cool run.
Yeah, Mike Smith was on it. Now,
yeah, he was something else.
Oh, too bad he's gonna be. Seems like his playing days are, if not, probably most likely done because of this current time recording is on the LTIR. Brooksy, I had to go over to you for the final topic before we wrap it up. Time flies when you're having fun.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Obviously, I want to get into this topic because it's always exciting, and I know you got a few stories for sure. And it's making that transition to Europe. And for myself, I went to Norway first before I went to Switzerland. But you went right to the KHL, right to the heart of Russia. I just want to hear a little bit about this and your time playing there.
I didn't just ease into the pool on that one. Like, I went full on. Like, hey, show me that contract. Okay, sign me up. I'll be there with bells on for that amount of money. And then of course they were late paying me, and so I show up there. Oh fuck yeah! This is, oh man, bring me back. So our first exhibition game, something happens in the second period, like a dirty hit. I don't know why. I just jump the boards and I take off after the guy, fight the guy for like a long ass time. It felt like a 3-minute fight, probably a minute, but okay, so whatever, clears off. I don't get kicked out of the game somehow, but whatever. So finish the exhibition game. I think in my head, I was like, well, you know what? At least for now, I won't have to fight for at least the rest of the exhibition. I think, I'm good for a little bit now. Showing I was a little crazy. Showing I'm willing to do anything for the team. So next game, I don't score. Now third exhibition game, I get a little tap on the shoulder. He goes, and this is like within 2 minutes of the game starting. He goes, go ask that Megalinsky guy who's like 6'8", whatever, fight. I'm like, all right, but you didn't do anything. Not that I was afraid of him or anything, but what's the point? And I've had two shoulder surgeries. I rather just choose my fights, and in the season at least. So I just say, hey, can I just wait until he does something stupid? If he does, I promise I'll fight. He goes, you sure you want to fight him now? I go, I'd rather save my shoulder for the season. He goes, oh, okay. I don't play again for the rest of the game. Next game, healthy scratch. And I think they were trying to like get rid of me after that. Like it was the beginning of the end for me there almost. Like as soon as I said I didn't want to fight that one time, and then they sent me down to the second league after a few games. It was a nightmare. Oof.
But I want to talk to you about, you said, you had trouble. You weren't getting paid all the money for the contract that you were supposed to get paid. How do you handle something like that? Like, because I know the rules are different over there. So I'm just curious, how did you go about that, trying to get your money?
So there's like certain periods of the year. If you get past the first period, then they owe you 50% of your contract. If you get past this point, then they owe you 75. I had already gone past where they owed me at least 50. So I was like, I don't care. Then don't play me. You'll still pay me. So then, but they weren't playing me. Then they sent me down to the second league where they wouldn't even fly me with the team. I would have to fly separate in the middle of Russia, trying to figure out what meant what. And each team had their own plane normally, but they wouldn't even let me fly with the team anymore because they were trying to get me to take the buyout. But I was like, no, I want my 50. I'll stay until give me my 50%. The buyout was less than 50. So I was like thinking at the time, I'll just tough it out. After like, I don't know, 2 weeks of like being by myself on the plane, and then in the hotel room by myself, and it was just like, all right, I'll take the buyout.
There's like no rules over there, right?
Yeah,
they
it was like
they want.
they
So
were
that's
like,
the
oh,
hard
we'll get this guy to take it. Don't worry.
Oh yeah,
And
eventually
I
he's gonna give in. Eventually,
yeah, and I did.
or we'll shoot him.
Yeah. He's bound to get lost somewhere in Russia eventually. Like he's just taking flights by himself. Oh my god. I couldn't even explain it to my buddies that are dying.
Oh, we heard like so many stories in terms. I forget who was telling the story. Brooksy, was it David Ling or Yablonsky might even be telling the story about guns. There's a guns room where you walk in and people with guns are by the door guarding the owner. You're going out with shots with the owner. Like it's
I think
not,
that was Gillies. That was Gillies.
Gillies. Okay. That was good. There's some stories you hear, Alex, and you're just like, holy, that's a different universe. Like, is this,
like I used to think a lot of it was like, yeah, okay, like, little exaggeration, but no, a lot of them is like real. Like a lot of the airports and the flights, and whoa, it was there's some sketchy stuff out there, man.
Now I'll jump in this one for Brooksy. Between the Dell and the KHL, we know, I think I know what you're going to answer for this, but what league did you find that you were more of a fit for as a player? Like, let's say the KHL was all hunky dory and it was so enjoyable. And if the Dell, and the Dell enjoyable, both of them are equally enjoyable in that type of world. What league do you think was a better fit for you as a player?
I think that Dell for me.
Yeah.
Man, that KHL they were good. Like you needed some serious skill, and you're playing against a lot of skill. The bigger ice surface I thought would be okay, but I like the smaller ice surface a lot more. I think, you get a little bit of, you can beat a guy a lot easier. I thought it'd be a lot more offensive out there. It's not. KHL was tough to score, and the pressure was a lot too. I thought I could go, make a little bit of money, take the pressure off being called. No, the pressure was almost worse in Russia, I thought. And Germany was like really nice. My son was born in Germany. So that was I had a bad injury, which kind of, made me miss a lot of time there, but it was a good experience all in all. Dell was amazing. KHL's, I would recommend, if you go to the right spots in Russia, I would recommend that. But then Dell is amazing too.
Yeah, you heard the Dell. There's a lot of good leagues over there, and we have some.
Yeah.
Switzerland to travel, still play the game, and see the beauty of Europe.
Yeah.
No offense to the KHL or Russia. I feel like I've heard a lot more positive scenery stories about the Dell more than Russia. So I feel like that'd probably be the place to throw it, the best recommendation. But there's so many leagues to play in and so much opportunity. If it's higher level, mid-level, lower level, if you want to play the game and you just love playing the game, there is options if you're truly good enough to play.
Yeah, you could ride it out for like if you want, but it's just it's hard on your family. You're away from your family's away from their family, or you're away from your family. So it's how long you want to ride the dream out, I guess, or if your family's all right with being away from their family and stuff. So it depends.
Yeah, absolutely. You're definitely a long ways from home, but that's one thing I loved about playing in Switzerland, the top league. I think my furthest road trip was 3 hours.
I think I heard the best things. You play the Spangler too, right?
Yeah.
That was a cool experience.
Yeah.
So I got to see Switzerland there, and I would have liked to play there maybe before Russia, but at the time I thought I had a couple offers from both leagues. I thought I chose Russia, and then those Switzerland offers are tough to get, and they evaporated pretty quick after those couple of years in Russia. So I would have liked to go and play there. I heard great things, man. So I wish, but bittersweet.
Yeah, the beauty of Europe. Gotta love it.
Yeah.
See, Brooks, you lived the dream playing 1,000 games, man. That's a combination of the AHL and the Europe, but there's being able to travel and play the game. Both of you being able to travel and play the game as long as you did. You did live the dream and you enjoyed doing it, right? And that's the whole point. Now it's all laughs. That's why we're talking about it now. That's why
I'd still do it if I could. If I could still do it, I'd still be playing.
Well, you play men's league. Are you playing at men's league, Alex? Do you play any men's league or anything like that?
I haven't touched my equipment in like 2 years since I retired.
Really? Do you have any plans to, or are you just like,
not yet?
No,
I've started watching it again though, but not. I haven't been. I'll go on the ice with my son, but even then, he's out in California right now, so I haven't touched my equipment in a while. Yeah. I don't plan on it.
It goes quick. It goes quick.
Yeah.
Get on that ice. It's not the same as it used to be.
That's what I'm afraid of. I think.
You know what we should do, Brooksy, when we go up to the Living Sisu tournament in the summer for Vocali, and we need that third guy, we should be inviting Alex Bolduc to that.
Oh, yeah. Get him out of retirement.
Get him out of
I'll
retirement.
send a couple gift certificates.
Oh yeah, we'll bring you for the party instead.
That's awesome. Well, Alex, you know, this has been a really fun time, and time really flies. We're having fun. I said that about 15 minutes ago, and it's been a good time catching up.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, guys. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's been awesome having you, and we'd love to have you again sometime. And
anytime.
I won't steal the whole thunder at the conclusion.
Yeah, always. He's always stealing thunder, that guy over there. But thanks again. It's great to see you. It's been many, many years. So I wish you all the best with your company, and we're definitely going to support it here with us. So I wish you all the best, and look forward to staying in touch with you.
Awesome, guys. Man, great podcast, guys. Thanks.
Awesome. Glad you enjoyed it. And hopefully you enjoyed it, listeners. Make sure you hit like, follow, and subscribe on all the platforms of the Game Sports Show and the Game Entertainment Media. The TGM YouTube channel, which is our podcast categorized network platform, which is brand new. And obviously the Game Sports Show has been around since 2016. Many podcasts to be able to enjoy, including this terrific content that we provide on the special edition upload. We're all over the place, in particular Facebook and Instagram and TikTok for social media. Yes, I said TikTok. That is a thing. Also,
what is that?
Some sort. We're gonna do TikTok dances soon, I think. TheGameSportsShow.com. Make sure you check that out as well. On behalf of Brendan Brooks and of course yours truly, Dave McCaig, I want to say thank you again to Alex Bolduc for taking the time, and to you again, the listeners. I'm here to remind you also to keep your stick on the ice, swing your bats, catch your touchdowns, drain your threes, and shoot your shots. Booyah.